And welcome, everyone. This is No Shots Fired podcast episode 55. El Nickel Caliente. I believe that means the hot nickel, right? I mean, I suggested we go with double nickels since it's 55. What
That's
is
the first thing that popped into my head when you said that. So
El Nickel Caliente? And if you're
El
joining
Nickel
us tonight,
Caliente.
here with me, I'm Val, and here with Chunkblade and Doc, and we're going to be walking you through a variety of explosive topics tonight. Foremost among them, Crypt of the Necrodancer, where all Necrodancers must be contained. Crypts and Starlink battle for Atlas. What is?
Yeah.
I've been playing. All right.
Are you ready to find out?
Got back into Apex Legends with two erstwhile contributors, J Money and T Bobby. Well, I don't know that T Bobby's ever contributed, but little Apex
Spiritual
Legends
contributor.
On Season 3 of Apex, the Dungeons & Dragons update. We're going to get to my top 10 games of the decade. Poorly named as Games of the Decade Part 2. Hate that title. Finally, as always, end with your questions. I have a question right now there, Doc. That chair behind you.
Yeah.
Is that serving some sort of protective purpose for the cushions? What's the story there?
The circle chair thing?
Yeah,
That's something Amanda will not let me throw out. So that's where it sits. They say this is most of the contents of my basement. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, we will be back down there, back in the Bat Cave. I'm not going to call it that. Forget I said that. Strike that from the record. Name pending.
Yeah, I would not go with. I can't tell you what to call it. I would not go with man cave, bat cave, anything with cave after really anything adjective than cave. I would go with low Hrothgar maybe. Anyway, I want to hear about Necrodancer from Junkblade.
Crypt of the Necrodancer is, as you would probably guess just based on the name, a rhythm-based game. Despite this, it is not as hard to play as you might think, and
humble brag.
Well, it also helps that in the game, you have the option of several different characters, and one of them is known as the Bard, and despite the fact that there's the obvious pun of Bard mode for hard mode,
solid.
The Bard is actually the easy mode version of the game. You have no time limit on completing stages, and the rhythm part is completely taken out, so it lets you learn how enemy patterns work, and for a while there, even with those two things taken out, I died multiple times, so it doesn't necessarily make it substantially easier, at least at the start when you have few upgrades, both in terms of your equipment and, like, number of hearts and things.
So this is like a run-based game, but you carry over certain stuff, is that right? So kind of a roguelite kind of thing?
It's a roguelite. Okay. There are certain permanent upgrades you can get, although as time goes on, they get more expensive, and it gets harder to get the diamonds necessary to purchase them, and diamonds don't carry over through runs, so even if you've gotten to the point where you can clear stage 1 without dying for sure, it doesn't matter because you can't stack diamonds in multiple runs. So you end up having to go to stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4 just to actually get the amount of diamonds required for further upgrades.
Okay.
And then the other things you can buy are things that you will find in the dungeon. And then as time goes on and certain items become less useful, you can, for the price of 1 diamond per item, you can completely eliminate that from being found in further runs of the dungeon. So if you have just like a mundane sword, you can completely remove that from further runs and get only the upgraded versions later on.
Oh, nice. How are you liking the game as a whole so far?
I am quite enjoying the game as a whole. I have, over time, gotten much better at the rhythm-based portion, and am not missing nearly as many beats as when I started out. Although, occasionally, there will be an enemy that makes me panic, and then I'll just miss a silly number of beats in a row. And some of the enemies that you will encounter at the same time are really brutal when encountered together. So,
Hmm.
for example, there are these monkeys you can encounter, which are not actually a threat by themselves because you just hit the buttons in time with the rhythm, and they just go away without dealing any damage to you. But they keep you stuck in one place, so if you encounter them with some other enemy that is able to move into your square as time goes on, you're kind of screwed. Especially if it's like a minotaur or dragon that will deal multiple hearts worth of damage each time it hits you.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I say this is a. I never played this because this game came out a couple of years ago, I think, at this point. But they're the same guys that just released the Zelda version of this, basically. That I did play some, and I've been meaning. I should go back to because I really enjoyed that one. Just
Mm-hmm.
the addition of like the Zelda enemies and the Zelda music kind of remixes was enough for me to give it a go. And I actually, because I've never been a huge rhythm game person like you,
Yeah,
I had trouble early on, but it was fun enough that I kind of kept at it and got a little better at it. So that's cool.
yeah. I would enjoy playing Cadence of Hyrule just for that reason. The music being more familiar to me, and the enemies being things that I would recognize.
Yeah. I do enjoy the bosses are all kind of funny music, very riffs on Zelda bosses and stuff, which is kind of like Goma
My
has
favorite
maracas or something, and it's good stuff.
soundtrack so far uh, reminds me of the music played during the area before you fight Metaton in Undertale, Evan, the
I could
reactor core.
not. Yeah, I couldn't remember. I cannot call to mind the music from that. Sadly.
That is fair. I just figured I would bring up
No, yeah, make the draw the
comparison.
connections.
Well, yeah, well, actually,
Uh,
give us the first couple of riffs of it.
Yeah, so starts out with a heavy bass line, and it's like a bump, a bump, 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 bump. That goes on for 9 minutes.
Oh man, really setting the stage for the drop here.
And then it goes on for another 9 minutes. The only big difference is there's a little bit of a cymbal, and it's like
Oh, a tasty lick indeed.
then after 18 minutes of that, there's 4 measures. I had to look this up because it's kind of a bit of a sound wall coming at you, but it's 100 electric guitars and a tambourine, and it just
okay.
hits you with this giant just power chords, just all of them in a row.
Wow.
And then, are you guys familiar with Whale Song? And if so, how familiar? Because I could
Very.
get into specific.
Vaguely.
So North Pacific Orca, I believe, is what they use to kind of bring you down from that big electric. I could keep going with this, by the way.
Now
The
the
rest of
orca,
them,
that's going to be pretty high pitched, right?
you'd think so.
Are
But
you
the
sure? Are you
North
thinking maybe
Pacific,
some blue whale that's going to carry over like 400 miles?
well, you know how hard it is for licensing reasons to get the blue whales to
Yeah,
even
they're
agree
very. Yeah, they're
to a
very
studio set,
tight
much
fisted.
less insist on doing everything live. They don't like what they do recorded. They think it diminishes the brand.
Okay. Undertale, great soundtrack as always, and I think we demonstrated that there.
Uh,
That's just one song.
So,
That's so many.
Do you have a feeling for how far you've gotten at like percentage wise through?
Yeah,
Crypt
how
of the
long
Necrodancer?
is
Is
this
this something
game?
you think you're going to be able to beat, or?
I don't feel like I'm going to be able to beat this, honestly.
Uh-huh.
It is. I'm only at stage 2 out of it, I think 4 or 5, and stage 2 is just completely throwing me off right now.
Mm-hmm.
I keep trying to replay stage 1 to grind for diamonds, but I can't get any extras from the bosses. The first run through, I got like 5 extra from the boss, so I was like, oh hey, if I just beat the boss each time, I'll get this many extra diamonds and I'll be able to get some of the upgrades. But that hasn't happened since, so I'm thinking maybe that was a one-time thing.
Yeah, first clear kind of thing.
So I can get at most 6 diamonds per run, which is not enough for any permanent upgrades, although it is enough to get certain treasures to fill out the treasure chests on further runs, which I think is the way I need to do it before I continue on to stage 2.
Is this similar to Cade's Hyrule, and where all these dungeons are procedurally generated each time? So you're
Yes,
okay.
It will never be the same dungeon again.
Okay.
So, both like the dungeon itself and the enemies you encounter and the items you can get at the shop, everything in it is procedurally generated each time.
I'm still a little confused on what a battle would look like.
In Crypt of the Necrodancer?
Yeah, in either game, I guess, since isn't Cadence of Hyrule...
Yeah, so basically, there's like all the enemies move to the beat, and then you can see like on every third beat or something, they'll thrust with their spear, or they'll hop diagonally at you. So like you have to kind of plan your movement to be adjacent to them, and you can attack them in an opening where they're not attacking you.
Sure.
And then sometimes, like if you land a hit, that'll stun them for an extra beat, so you could get like 2 attacks in. You dodge back once for a beat, then go back in after their attack. So it's a cool kind of rhythm. Yeah, it's a rhythm game. But you get into kind of a groove where you kind of, But then, like Junkblade said, you can get surrounded by stuff, and then you're just like, ah! And then it goes poorly.
So this is like Jazzercise, but in game.
Yes, with very
cool.
Or
Tybo.
Yes.
Tybo.
Yes, Tybo. Definitely Tybo. Boy, I haven't thought about Tybo in a minute.
Well, there you go. You're welcome for that.
Thank you.
Episode 56 can be, let's think about Tybo.
Or, by the time we do it, let's stop thinking about Tybo.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. That'd be way too long to think about Tybos, considering how long it takes for us to do.
We could also just think about nothing but Tybo until the next episode.
There... So it's just... You don't have like a cast of people you're using to fight the enemy, it's just you.
It's just one person, yeah. And as you progress, you unlock more characters who have their own little quirks to them if you feel like playing them instead of the main character. Like the one guy I unlocked for beating the first stage, he doesn't have any weapons, but he has infinite bombs.
That's pretty good. Yeah, so, they all have their own like unique ability. Then you can get different weapons. And get kind of skills. So like the Cadence of Hyrule one you can play as Link, Zelda, or Cadence. I think is the main character from Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yes.
Comes in, and you can kind of go into towns and switch between the characters and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So
I'm confused about how the Bard works. The Bard removes the rhythm element. What is left of the game?
I think it's still like you can explore the areas, and the combat's a lot. It's basically like a simpler combat. Like it's just it takes away kind of the novelty element of the combat and just makes it a, top-down dungeon crawler game.
Yeah.
I could see doing it like Junkblade was saying, like because I think the enemies still kind of do their patterns.
The enemies still do the same.
Because the music's still playing. It just doesn't. It doesn't penalize you for moving, because you have to move on the beat too. Like you can't just everything that you're doing has to be done on the beat, but it takes away that requirement. So
yeah, the Bard basically all the enemies move in conjunction when you hit one of the buttons instead of moving to the beat like they normally would. So it.
All right, yeah. So if on the third beat an enemy thrusts its spear instead on your third movement, it would.
Yeah. Like I said, it is like the easy mode version of the game.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense.
But it is also helpful if you are trying to learn enemy patterns,
Sure.
and get a feel for the stage, because the game is kind of brutal if you aren't good at rhythm games, and I am not the best at rhythm games.
And I think this may not have been in place in Crypt of the Necrodancer, but in Cadence of Hyrule, you can actually widen, like if your reaction time just isn't quite as good, you can widen that tolerance a little bit, so that like you can so it does like a test before the game starts, and it kind of shows you what your delay is, and you can set that as like the tolerance of hitting the beat basically. So that's a kind of a cooler way to maybe make it a little simpler without removing it entirely, is kind of making it a little more lenient in terms of button presses.
Sure.
So
What
They do not have that feature in Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Okay.
They do have like buttons you can hit in the dungeons themselves that will make the tempo go up or down. I've never actually found those to be helpful.
really decreasing the tempo doesn't help you?
Because at this point I'm so used to the normal tempo
that it throws you off, right?
It actually throws me off instead of helping. If it was something that was like right at the start of the dungeon and you just hit it and you could slow down or speed up, that would be one thing. But you encounter it randomly.
I say, yeah, they're not really things that to help you. They're actually things to kind of make the dungeon more challenging, because they show up kind of randomly, and you like. So like I've tried not to hit them, but then that can affect my movement plan as to where I wanted to go to like clear the room. Because once you clear the room, then it kind of calms down, and you can go around and collect everything and do that. But yeah, so that's kind of one of the interesting ways they change it up. Cool. It's a cool idea for a game. I'm glad they got a chance to kind of make another game with it, and I think it actually, the Zelda one did pretty darn well. So it'll be interesting to see if they keep iterating on this or go in a different direction for the next thing. But
indeed.
Starlink, Battle for Atlas.
Okay. Well, my son...
What platform? When did you play it?
Nintendo Switch.
Okay.
I don't have... All right, so my son discovered the ship, which is the R-Wing from Star Fox.
Nice.
He just got very obsessed with that. But it's this kind of controller where the Joy-Cons slide in here, and this is Fox McCloud, and you put the ship on top of him.
Okay.
And then it's good. The ship has two ports on the wings that I've got little weapon attachments, and when I put those on the toy, they go in the game, which is kind of fun. And it's basically just kind of like I've played one or two levels so far with Sam watching, and it's a cool idea just because it's. I don't know. I didn't play too many of the other Toys to Life things. I didn't do Disney Infinity much, and Amiibo functionality was secondary at best. I think is how you could describe that. But this has been kind of a cool way to do, because you're flying around. It's basically a Star Fox game kind of thing. But there's also kind of an exploration element, and like enemies are weak to different weapons, so you'll be switching weapons on and off, and it's a nifty thing. I don't think it caught on much, because I got this for pretty cheap, if I recall correctly. But it turned out to be an
intriguing idea.
I'd say it's a cooler idea, at least in the first hour and a half, than I thought it would be. I assume I'll be playing more, because he took the ship for show and tell today, so it doesn't seem like that's going away anytime soon.
Question though.
Question.
Give me what's the plot here? What's Fox McCloud doing these days?
Okay, well,
Who's he with? Pippi with him? Froggo Man with him?
Yes.
Slippy?
Yes, all the gang's all here.
Falco's there.
Falco Lombardi, classic.
Has calmed down at all?
If he maybe, I guess he has, because I haven't noticed him yet.
Okay, all right, that's good.
But the plot is like because this was out on multiple platforms, so the Switch version is the only one that actually has Star Fox in it, which is kind of kind of cool. So the plot of this is like some Earth scientist invents warp travel.
Wait, Earth?
Yeah. So then they're exploring distant planets
Sure.
to do something. I don't know.
As we do.
So then
as
they start getting attacked, and then it zooms out, and then you see the R-wings, and then they say, "Let's go help them." And then we're
help
off
these
on
humans.
yeah. Then we're
Well, I guess
off
they
on a
wouldn't
grand
know we're
adventure.
humans. I guess they wouldn't know we're humans.
Yeah,
But
just
let's go help
these alien guys, whatever, right?
these dum dums.
Yeah. And then our ship gets kind of kamikazed into. They steal the core and the old science guy, which disables all our ships. We crash on an alien planet. Now I'm exploring the alien planet.
Time out. The humans were rescued by Fox McCloud and Peppy,
Slippy and Falco, yeah.
Did the humans raise the interesting point, like, oh, hey, we have you on the planet, but smaller and not as smart, to all of the animals?
I don't think they've gotten into that yet. There hasn't really been time for kind of a funny, meet and
I
greet.
would just. I don't think it's a funny meet and greet.
I guess I don't even know if they've actually seen Star Fox. Like they've seen the ships, but then the ships got scattered across the planet, and I'm trying to like regather my crew. And now I'm helping this alien guy find his assistant. I'm collecting data on animals on the planet by like flying around them, which is funny. Because like this one kept trying to run away, and I kept trying to strafe around it, which was silly. But no, it's it's at least so far it's the flight controls are fun. The toy integration seems cool. Like I think you can get it for $15 if you're curious, dear listeners. But no, I think I'll play a little bit more, probably only when the child is interested. But yeah, wanted to give it a shout out because I know it kind of died on the vine a bit. But
I need updates on what happens when humans meet
I will keep you posted.
the giant talking animals.
Yes.
Because that raises a lot of important philosophical considerations.
I mean, I think they've met aliens, so I mean, at this point, there's a fox planet, there's a frog planet, like, it's...
Well, I just think it's like, wow, you guys, we have you on our planet. Do they have little tiny, comparatively under-evolved humans on their planet, on the fox planet, or
Would we be surprised if we had if suddenly a ship appeared with like a big talking fox at this point in society?
A little bit.
Like a little surprise, but I don't think it'd cause like a questioning of reality, right? I mean,
I think it
we've
probably
all read Redwall, guys. Come on, this isn't that much of a jump. I bet they make good elderflower cordial. That's all I'm saying.
You're saying if Star Fox and crew just showed up, everyone would just immediately accept this?
I just don't think it'd be the same as if it happened in like 1942.
Well, yeah. I think we are more ready for it, but still not quite that ready for it.
I'm with Valen here.
All right.
I wouldn't be that surprised, but society as a whole.
Oh, Jean-Claude, people remember Star Fox. Jeez, do a barrel roll. Come on.
Can't let that do that. Star
raise
Fox.
Even considerations, considering it was in a video game, and then we're like, what does Nintendo know? Has Nintendo been in touch?
I think that would be a logical progression here.
Right.
Nintendo's too good at making this stuff. There's got to be something else going on.
Well, then we've just got to consider that the entire Nintendo canon is actually out there somewhere.
Take me to the Zelda planet. Love it. Let me see that time-warped reality world. I love it.
Yeah, I'm totally down for that. I would actually be a little concerned that Nintendo was an evil corporation who had some of these beloved characters hostage, like the real actual. They were just mining them for information to make their games.
Oh, okay.
That is perfectly fair.
Well, let's get to Kyoto and get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Wait, yeah, I think we need to go. You're right. There's only one
camp
thing
out.
to do now.
front of the
We
big
know.
N.
Just big signs that say "We know."
Yeah.
Boy.
Star Fox has told you enough. Fox McCloud, I guess. I should stop saying Star Fox. I'm not an idiot. It's Fox McCloud. I know that.
Yeah, Star Fox is the name of the mercenary organization.
Yes.
Banner under which they fly.
Is it mercenaries?
They are, in fact, mercenaries.
What?
As are a Star Wolf.
I can't. Wait a minute.
They are.
Wait
Yeah.
a goddamn minute.
That's what you get in the original Star Fox. You
Wait.
get hired.
Flippin' blappin' minute.
The Cornerian army hired Star Fox.
I'm not done. I'm reading it. No.
And Andros hired Star Wolf, and as part of it, he forced them to take on his nephew, Andrew, which is just such a
Summons the elite mercenary team. Stop. Oh. I can't.
Blows your mind, doesn't it?
You guys have to go talk about something for a second. I need a minute here.
Apex Legends.
To fathom.
Teams of 3 battle against 20 other teams for supremacy. Supremacy is not a word. Supremacy should be a word. Kind of cool. I think I could name a yacht the Supremacy, and I don't think people would, because it sounds like Serenity and Supremacy, and that's a good name for a yacht if you combine those two things. It'd have to be a super yacht.
I can't take Slippy serious as a mercenary.
I can't take Peppy seriously as a mercenary.
Oh, he's grizzled and you know it. Junkblade. That's enough.
Oh yeah, I would definitely have him on the mercenary squad. I'd have Falco too. You need the loose cannon on your mercenary squad.
I mean, he's the only one who came back a lot. I mean, between him and James, he's the only one who came back alive. He somehow got out alive when Pigma betrayed them.
Yeah, because he's a BA, which is badass. I'm trying to make this stream more PG.
But you know a lot more of the Star Fox canon than I supposed.
They cover more of this in Star Fox 64 than you would think.
Okay.
I know this. I know a lot of this.
The Super Nintendo game didn't have quite that level of detail in any respect.
I know a lot of this because I watched Junkblade do the playthrough of Star Fox 64. Most of which I had forgotten. And then I was like,
so I remember the multiplayer of Star Fox 64. That's about it. And the Rumble Pack. Remember the Rumble Pack?
Interesting. I do.
I remember the Rumble Pack.
Interesting thought here. If big bad guy Andros had just hired Star Fox instead of Star Wolf, he probably conquers the galaxy.
Well, given that the four of them basically take down his entire army by themselves, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I wonder if he was pinching pennies. Also, maybe killing Star Fox's dad might have had a little bit to do with it.
A little motivation there probably wouldn't have been present in the world taking over bit. Okay, but you're back playing the stupid multiplayer game.
Apex Legends. Teams of 3 battled 19 other teams for supremacy in a world. It's kind of like our world, but then there are like funny things, like there's a big impact crater from some sort of ice meteor, and it's made part of the map all icy. But then there's a lava part of the map, and it's all lava.
Oh, wow.
If you fall into lava, you get hurt.
Oh, man.
Each of the characters, as opposed to other Battle Royale games, the reason that this one, the 10,000th entry into the Battle Royale,
you can slide.
Medium. You can slide, and your characters have little superpowers. Little bit of superpowers. So I put up like a little shield, or throw a little smoke bomb, or go invisible for a little bit. The reason I've come back to it with my compatriots J Money and T Bobby, two erstwhile contributors to the stream, was that they introduced. I just looked up the acronym for this: skill-based matchmaking, SBMM. I didn't know what SBMM was, and I looked that up a little bit earlier.
Oh, is it a game type with like respawns and like an objective and like fewer players, maybe like a tighter experience?
No, it's the exact same game.
You don't waste like 80% of your time running through empty buildings looking for shit.
Talking about skill-based matchmaking.
Oh, okay.
It's the exact same game But
okay.
but presumably you're playing with people who are as bad as. Though we have not found that exactly to be the case yet.
What? The algorithm, though.
The reason we stopped playing in the first place is as soon as that user base starts being winnowed down, the people who remain are generally pretty good, and even pretty good is worlds away from where we are, and that makes the experience of playing a battle royale game more frustrating than it already is for the reasons that Doc talked about.
Maybe the most frustrating because of how much time investment you have to even get to the point where like the shooting becomes a thing, right?
Right. Yeah. So we've had fun with PUBG, and we even had fun with Apex before. Again, like I don't know, I can't back this up with user base numbers or anything like that.
Earlier on in the zeitgeist, right?
Right. We've definitely reached a point in both of those games where those that remain were worlds away from where we were. And also in PUBG, I am absolutely convinced that there's a huge like aimware.
Oh yeah, that was a big
problem.
thing.
It was just like it was still a big thing back when it launched. It's just that again with that big user base, a lot of that gets drowned out. You don't have to, but again, the people that remained are the best players and the best cheaters, I guess. So anyway, we tried Apex Legends again. They didn't put any. Not that it really matters, but you know they tried to have some flavor to these different characters, and each different character has a different ability, but they've made the most like just generic, just hackneyed stock characters you could ever imagine. Like if you just one of them, oh man,
one of them's a robot though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Robot. He's a robot and he says robot things. One of them has a raven on his shoulder.
Beep bop boop.
Justin instantly, J Money came up with a better character than Raven Dude, whose name of course is Bloodhound, like a tracker. So why wouldn't he be called Bloodhound? It's as if they took 5 seconds on each character. It's like, all right, he's a robot, and he's a beep bop, and he doesn't quite understand emotion. And this guy, he can follow people, so Bloodhound, right? And we'll give him a Raven because that's cool. Oh, and this is Shadow Lady. She can go invisible and she's got like weird ghosty eyes because she's a ghost sometimes. J Money's name for Bloodhound is Rachnoff Raven King, which is much better than Bloodhound. In conclusion, even though Apex is free, don't download it, don't play it. Or, I guess if 10 million people watch this, then yes, download it and play it if you're bad at those kind of games. Because it kind of makes it enjoyable when we can kill you. The end. Stock, maybe you should get back into it.
Not a chance in hell. I think that genre is just it escapes me. I just can't. Like yeah. The amount of time it takes to get like a weapon, and then you never have then you haven't spent any time shooting the guns, so you have no idea what they're gonna do, and you can't get good at the guns because you die immediately because people already know what the guns do. So
it is kind of a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Then like, oh, maybe we can land somewhere cool and kind of do something. And no, you can't land there. You can't land in the satellite dish.
They should have more places you can just, if you want to, without a weapon, just hang out.
Yeah.
Do nothing.
I want to go play backgammon this time. To the backgammon hall.
Well, that is a cute little part of Fortnite that I've seen. Is they have little funny things in there, like little snowboards. You can do tricks.
Valen, we don't acknowledge that game in this space.
Dungeons and Dragons.
As far as we're concerned, Fortnite ended and it never came back.
All right, so D&D update.
Pretty sure it's
Fortnite.
Tomorrow night, I know you guys are going to grow to this. We're going to start a new campaign.
Is it replacing one of the previous campaigns?
Yes, because the one guy who started a campaign and we were expecting his campaign would not last very long. It does not seem as if his campaign is ever going to be played again. So
which campaign is this?
Yeah, which one have we lost?
It was in the world of Eberron, is what it's called. We only played like 2 sessions before he seemed to lose interest or not be able to make it.
Please don't tell me this is the campaign with the luchador.
It is the campaign with the luchador.
Aww.
I
Really like that aspect.
Ah! No!
Good news, though, in the campaign that we have played sessions in recently, we have a new player, and they are playing a luchador.
Boy, the prevalence of luchadors in Dungeons and Dragons is...
So, the way this campaign works is it's called the Endless Dungeon, and characters get pulled from different planes into the dungeon.
Mashup.
And this was their character in the Eberron campaign that they only got to play for 1 session. So they just leveled them up and sort of progressed their story, so they are much more into the faith of Lucha than they were at the start of that campaign. So now they are a full-fledged luchador.
What's their name again?
It was El Papa.
Okay.
And
I like El Papa.
and
Could it be El Nickel Caliente? That'd be a really good name.
it cannot be El Nickel Caliente. But
Aww.
I forget how it's pronounced, but basically, due to a battle we just fought, they lost one of their limbs and got it replaced with a magical metal one. So now they are the Iron Pope in
real quick
in Spanish.
I am on the Mexican wrestler name generator.
Okay.
I put Valen in.
Yeah.
And we got La Chalupa Mojado. Is your... Alright, now
That's
we'll
it.
do Junk Blade.
La
Tecate
Chalupa
Muerto. Ooh.
Cate Bueto.
That's a good one. And now we'll put Doc. Africano Rojo.
Africano Rojo?
Which I believe is the red African.
That's a good one, too.
I think Junkblade wins with Tecate Muerto.
Yeah.
What does that stand for? I know muerto means death.
Yeah.
Is Tecate that beer? I guess I don't know what that means. What Tecate actually means.
Dead Tecate is what Google Translate has decided
Well, it's like
that
the
is.
beer.
I know Tecate, yeah, that's a beer, but cerveza is beer in Spanish.
So apparently I'm just a beer that has gone very bad.
Yes, you're a dead beer. Which you know what?
Dead beer's a good name.
That's a good one.
And Doc, this is something that will make you happy. The El Papa's rival, which there's not going to be as much with their rival since they joined us late in the life of the campaign, but they've decided their rival is the Lichador, who is basically just Skeletor with a handlebar mustache.
El Hermano.
Hermano. I don't know what that. I love the Hermano bits in the rest development.
Yes, they're very good.
When
he tells Michael, he calls Michael, "Hey, mon frere." That means brother in French. I don't know why I know that. I took 4 years in Spanish.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry. Tecate is also a city in Mexico, says Labelle32.
Ooh, the dead
Thanks
city.
for stopping by. Actual person.
Wait, what?
Yeah, a real person.
Oh my goodness.
I believe it's one of Junkblade's friends.
Providing insight as well.
Actually, I do not recognize this.
Roll with it, Junkblade. Roll with it.
We are at the D&D update. I'm just going over, some random things that happen in my weekly D&D sessions. So this is the Endless Dungeon campaign. I'm playing a Kitsune Wizard. Friend's playing a Drow Bard. And then of course the Orc Luchador is our other now consistent
Is
member.
there any chance we're gonna get a better name out of this player than El Papa? Because that's just it's bumming me out.
It's a waste of a luchador. Well, he did just say he's the Iron Pope now or something.
Yeah, I just can't remember what that is in Spanish. So last we left off, we were talking to a lich and determined, hey, we tried communicating with you and somebody was intercepting the communications. So we think, based on what you've told us, there's probably like a third party that's having you and this other lich fight against each other and wants you both out of the picture. So we then went to go talk to the other lich, the Lord of Iron, as he's known.
I remember this, right? You had the conversation.
And so the first thing we did was we tried communicating with him. Then when it didn't seem to work, I tried using the scrying spell because I figured, hey, high level lich.
Well, you gotta describe what does scrying do?
Basically, it shows you the person you name. It's a divination spell, but and the reason I went with this option is I figured both in and out of character, high level lich means he has defenses against this and will know that somebody's trying to scry on him because we just want to talk to him. We just want to find a way to communicate with him.
Mm-hmm.
As I try and use the spell, the mirror we're looking into suddenly starts bubbling black, and a really ticked off voice starts calling us cowards, slightly racist things. Basically, not a great guy.
Do you have any examples of what that is in D&D terms?
Well, in this case, things that were directed at my character for being a fox person, they basically said some very unflattering things about foxes. And
okay, what's an
What do you call
example?
it? Like a rat?
What do you call it? Like barely a dog thing?
Sneaky dog.
Something vaguely like that. It's actually been a little while since the session.
Easily hunted by fat Englishmen?
What the specific
easily.
insults
You need
were.
like 20. You need like 20 hounds.
I know, but they don't even have to like get off their horse and stuff. Like, you know.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think easily. I guess it would be insulting to say easily. I would just, as a fox, I would come back with that. Like, pretty tough to catch me, my man.
I don't know. If the English can do it, boom. You heard me, England.
Okay. Alright, anyway, keep going. So this guy, the pure bubble black, somebody is mad at you.
Yeah, basically tries to get us to leave, and, well, we can't. Well, we could do that, but then what would be the point of having gone on this little misadventure in the first place if we weren't going to try and, get a resolution to the problem, which is undead attacking local settlement that we are allied with. So, despite the discouraging words of the person on the other end of the scry spell, we walk into the Lord of Iron's keep and begin the process of trying to find him so we can just have a friendly little chat, which is genuinely what we intend on doing.
Classic Dungeons and Dragons.
We go through.
We just want to talk.
People attack us. They are always the aggressor. We never.
Isn't this
so say the victors?
The first strike.
Well, and Junkblade, I don't mean to stop you, but isn't this the update you gave last time? Like, you unintentionally fought a bunch of people's It
This
ends, and then you get to him, and he lets you know that.
Yeah, very similar thing with the Lich. We get to him. He tells us he's not the one who communicated with us through the mirror. And yeah, and so we're like, yep, third party horning in on you guys' turf, trying to get you guys to fight each other. You guys need to actually talk with each other instead of trying to assault each other and figure out what's going on, because obviously somebody wants you guys out of the picture.
Right.
So
This goes deeper than you can possibly imagine. Follow the money.
So we communicate with the other Lich, say, hey, this happened, we need to meet up and actually just talk.
Did you start by saying, Lich, please?
No, I did not.
No?
Damn
Okay.
it.
It was hanging there. We all felt it.
So, they resolved the little spat that they had going on. Encouraged partially by the Luchador, in fact. He is probably the most diplomatic member of our party, which is kind of sad to say. And
What's his finishing move called?
I've forgotten to ask.
Okay.
I will ask that tomorrow, and you guys will know on the next update.
I say critical teaser for next ep.
Find out the
Luchador's finishing move.
I think you just want to have some sort of luchadora. I don't know what exactly. Adventure. That's what I think.
I think I don't know why everyone doesn't want that.
It's fair. It's fair.
So we get their little conflict resolved, and we find out the third party that has been, interfering with things is another type of undead known as a Grave Knight.
How do you find this out?
After getting them to resolve their issues with each other, they figure out where he is, and
how do they do this?
They're both very powerful wizards. They have spells to do.
They scry again, right? They do some more scrying, I'm sure. I'm rolling for scrying. I got a 4.
Why didn't they do that? Why did they need you guys if they can just magically find people are?
Fallon, it's a journey, okay? They forgot about it until they saw the Orc Luchador mask and said, "Oh shit! Let me roll again with advantage. I got a 5. I can't roll for shit with this thing."
You don't never. All right, so a Grave Knight. You don't need a high roll. Easy to find.
Let's say the Grave Knight's stink was all over this. We all felt it.
So they've been weakened by their centuries-long spat with each other.
They've been doing this for centuries, but then it took them 7 seconds to find the real person. I'm sorry, I would have got it.
Quick question.
I'm not in this session.
Quick question. Grave Knight, is that actual graves, or is he just very serious?
I was assuming very serious.
I hope that's it.
Both. He's an undead, and he's also very, very serious.
Okay, similar to my Batman idea to have Mr. Freeze just be a very kind of cold person.
Yes.
Very off-putting, but not really anything else.
Yeah, right.
Christopher Nolan never got back to me on that one, but hope springs eternal.
Grave Knight.
Keep going about the. What are you guys gonna do about the Grave Knight?
So we go to where he is. We confront him. He basically makes it clear he's working for somebody else. Who he only refers to as the Worm. which could be
ORM or YRM?
He didn't specify.
That's a key difference.
Yes.
Maybe you should use your powerful lich buddies to just magically locate him in seconds.
It takes time to recharge, Valen. Jeez. It takes. I bet it takes 200 years to recharge the spell they used to find the Grave Knight. Just because it happened that they finally got there when the cooldown expired. Valen's poking. Why didn't the eagles just fly him to Mordor? Because they didn't want to. Damn it. Would have been a boring book. Okay.
And basically doesn't give us any real information about who he's working for other than that. This character was going to be the rival for people who were not able to make it to the session, which because of real life obligations, unfortunately. But we wanted to continue along with the plot, so we just kind of had to keep going. And they were a fairly brutal fight. Like I said, our orc luchador ended up losing most of his arm during the fight because of some rather brutal critical hit effects from the Grave Knight. And when he died, was killed again, I suppose. There was the entire area was just like covered in blackness, and we interacted with the worm, we think, because basically the voice acted like the Grave Knight's boss and said he's failed him for the last time and he's not letting him come back again. So luckily, we do not have to worry about this guy ever coming back to bother us, at least from what we know. And honestly, we've got other things in the dungeon we're more worried about right now than the Grave Knight anyway. Removing him was just sort of the source of the undead attacking the settlement we're allied with, so we had to deal with him. And that's basically where that campaign has wrapped up so far. Like I said, we're doing a different one tomorrow because a good friend of ours wants to join the campaign, join our group. He really likes 5th edition, and he has a campaign that he really wants to run. It's the Ravnica setting from Magic the Gathering. They released an official 5th edition book for it, and he's excited to run a campaign in it.
Oh, cool. So just an out-of-the-box from Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
Cool.
The only real restriction was we had to make characters that actually normally exist within the Ravnica setting. So you can't make anything weird like a Furbolg or a Yuanti. But I'm playing a human druid who's with the fungus and undead faction. Another person is playing a elephant person with the
A Loxodon?
Yes. I'm
so that's fine, but nothing ridiculous like a Fearbolt, right?
Well, Loxodon are actually part of Ravnica.
I get it. I just say we're just drawing the line a little wiggly.
Who's part of the sort of hippie commune?
Hippie elephant?
Guild. Yeah. Then there's the person who's not going to be making it tomorrow. He's playing a Minotaur police officer.
Okay. Good law enforcement official.
And one person's playing a water elf biomancer. And the last person is playing... I actually can't remember what race they're going for, but part of the Rakdos Guild, which I just kind of sum up as murder clowns, because that's what they are.
Water elf biomancer makes me think of just like he makes algae grow really fast.
Mostly, they give people, like, extra bodily features,
algae.
like an extra set of arms, or gills, or random things like that. Or they'll mix several creatures together
That's a little...
and create jellyfish hydras.
I don't want to say the word lame lightly. But it's like, hey, you want an extra finger? Bam. Water elfed it.
Hey, you ever seen a jellyfish? But
Hey.
also like a stingray?
Yeah. Hey. Hey, you remember that animal that can't move very well in water? Splat. Don't step on it.
Hey man, it's alright, it's alright. That's their character.
Okay. Real quick.
Yeah, what time? How are we doing on time, by the way?
We've got like 5 minutes left.
I'm imagining the Orc Luchador. Hopefully, the character voice is Macho Man Randy Savage. Am I right?
They haven't specified, but that is basically what I've been imagining the entire time.
Okay. And has he challenged anyone to a Hell in the Cell match, Inferno match, a Tornado tag match to involve the rest of you guys, or
He has not challenged
a Lich on a Pole match?
Any specific varieties of match, but he has challenged them to matches.
Okay, so he's cutting some promos. Good. How's his mic work?
Voice
stage
carries pretty well, so...
Does he have a... Okay. You guys listen to the Adventure Zone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, you remember the Pocket Spa? Where
yes.
it pops... I'm imagining a pocket ring, where it's a like a tent where you go in and it's a wrestling ring that he keeps in his pocket and can pop out whenever needed.
For the uninitiated, the pocket spa is a pocket dimension. Well, it is, but it only contains a little tiny spa for you to relax in. I like the idea of the pocket ring. A pocket wrestling ring.
My wizard could probably make that character.
I'm gonna drive down and demand that this happens.
Oh
no. Okay. Well, okay. That's the last of my questions at the moment. We actually have a question for the question section, but we still have.
Actually do. Well,
Valens.
I think we pushed.
No.
We only had like 4 minutes. I think we pushed the games of the decade.
Give us the first two. Give us a taste.
All right, I'll give you the first two because it's XCOM 1 and 2. So there you go. Perfect.
All right. And you know what? I have 0 questions as to why those are on your list. So.
Right?
No, we don't want that link. No, don't.
I want that link.
You search for that darkness on your own time.
I want us to spend the next. I actually would love to talk about.
The question for our podcast listeners is: have you seen the new Sonic movie poster that came out today?
Post.
A movie I'm convinced is never going to come out. Take the risk, LaBelle. See what happens.
It looks better.
A high bar.
It does look better.
I googled Sonic movie poster. Which one is it? The one of him running, diagonally, or up a building?
No.
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 Which one?
You
is
just
it?
I clicked the link.
In the chat.
It's LaBelle. They're not gonna, and I would already be dead, and it could kill me. So. If I could.
It actually vaguely looks like the character instead of the weird monstrosity that we had before. But I still don't think the movie's going to be any good.
I don't think we needed realistic hair physics.
I don't think we did either.
I think that was a big mistake.
Just have him teleport from his cartoon video game world and go, whoa, it's a fish out of water story, and have him look weird. Not like Detective Pikachu walked a very fine line with this. They succeeded. I have zero belief that this will succeed.
I completely agree.
Which is too bad because I would love to enjoy this movie.
Yeah?
If I mean I'm like I enjoyed Detective Pikachu.
The Sonic thing, I don't get.
Sonic
I guess
the Hedgehog.
it's an entire
Too
concept.
fast
Like
for
I
the
played
naked.
some of the games as a kid, but I try
What
to
do you,
play them now, and it's kind of I don't get it.
here's the thing. Okay, so he's a hedgehog, but he's got sonic speed, supersonic speed. So his name is Sonic, and he can go supersonic.
Can he go? Can he actually go supersonic?
Depending on the game, yes.
I just assume. I mean, his name's Sonic, so he better be able to, right?
He can go faster than the speed of sound.
Counterpoint: Sonic sucks.
And on that lively.
Did you guys watch real quick? Did you guys and LaBelle watch the unraveled video of the Sonic Bible and explaining how every single Sonic game goes against the Sonic Bible and is therefore blasphemous?
Wait, what?
All right, hang on. It's glorious. Let's see. Every Sonic.
What's the Sonic Bible?
Like people make a character Bible, right? When they do IPs and shows and stuff. So someone wrote a Sonic character Bible.
Okay.
And
usually those properties.
The description of the Chaos Emeralds in particular is fucking bananas. Also, Sonic is from Nebraska. His family lives in an actual hedge, and I'm right. Sonic is garbage.
But this is obviously the developmental Bible that doesn't actually.
I understand. They just They just threw it right in the can. So.
It does happen to a lot of like dev Bibles. Like you'd be surprised. A lot of these stuff, unfortunately, you don't get to see like all of the developmental stuff made public. I would love to have my hands on just all of it. Every major video game property.
It kind of starts creeping out over time. Like Yoshi's name was like T. Yoshisaur Munchakoopas or something. But that's what they want you to think, LaBelle. No, he got a hold of the real Sonic Bible. Don't buy Sega's line about this. No, that's the fake Bible. We have the real one under lock and key. Only the ancient sage scholars are allowed to see it.
I do like LaBelle's point about why they are going to go see the movie, which is that they listened to fan feedback, delayed the movie because of the fan feedback, and LaBelle likes the artist that was engaged, artist company that was engaged to do the rework. So,
they probably had to do tons of overtime to get this to something that was actually a functional design.
Yeah, to completely rework the CGI for a movie that's pretty cray.
What if they just did? What if they just did like a focusing thing where they just had Sonic just out of focus enough? And just went. He's so fast. We couldn't.
It's just like a guy in a Sonic. It's a guy in a Sonic suit, and they do a lot of like Bourne Identity camera work where you're always just moving constantly.
Now that's some cinema I would partake in. Now we're cooking.
On that note,
Sonic.
But take your favorite date next year. Valentine's Day, if I'm correct on that one.
Really?
Yeah,
feels like a bad release date.
I'm inclined to agree.
Almost as good as So Doom Eternal, the next Doom game, got delayed, and it's getting released the same day as Animal Crossing, which is really, really good. Just imagining those two games vying for supremacy.
At least it feels actually. Animal Crossing so popular. I was going to say at least probably different niches, but
for the most part. But there have been some very
The
good
overlap.
crossover posters of Doom Guy on the Animal Crossing island.
that's a funny thought. And on that note, since we are over our time now, this has been episode 55 of No Shot. Thanks for stopping by, LaBelle.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed the El Caliente Nickel. That's the title. I'm not going back.
Nope. Go again. I'll fix it in post.
Thanks for stopping by the No Shots Fired podcast. This has been episode 55, El Nickel Caliente. We've enjoyed having you all. Doc and Junkblade, I'm Valen. Remember to water your plants. Good night.
Good night.
Peace.